kid back in Germany, my friends and I had this peculiar kind of humor. We constantly made fun of what we meant were characteristics of certain groups. We made fun of how oblivious the blacks were, how fat and lazy the Americans were, stuff like that. When I think back on it now, I find most of these conceptions to be very misleading and in fact quite hurtful. Ever since moving here, I have tried being on the receiving end for once, and I now understand just how deeply one can be cut by what I perceive to be mere words and notions. The old saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but although bones heal, a broken heart never truly recovers. In a typical day, I wake up in my room, on the second story of the house of my host family. I see the sun shining through my window and I go downstairs, and I'm met with a sweet scent. It seems like my host mom has made pancakes. I quickly eat with my family and then I walk out the door towards the school. Everything seems perfect so far. I breathe in the cool morning breeze and a smile turns up on my face as I walk through the school gates. But when I'm met with a greeting reminiscent of a nasty salute from one of my classmates, I gotta admit that the smile I had fades a bit from my lips and all of a sudden the day seems just a little less perfect. I see the playful sparkle in his eyes and the grin on his face, I really do. I do know that he means no harm and that it's all just a playful jab, but somewhere in my heart I still feel a slight sting. Stereotypes like this only serve to reduce and ruin the bonds between students. During my stay, I've had people go up to me asking things like, do you Germans have any kind of humor? Because I've only ever heard that you guys are so strict. Needless to say, I always get very surprised, but also quite annoyed at these sudden kinds of statements. Just because I'm a German, that means I can't have fun. Now, to be honest, I always feel very tempted to just answer with something like, well, do you Americans always eat junk food? Because all I've ever heard is that Americans are always so fat. I never say it though, because I realized that this would only further cement the stereotypes that caused this meeting in the first place, instead of resolving them. I recently read a study on stereotypes published by UNESCO. In this study, stereotypes are roughly defined as generalizations of members of a certain national group. Regarded as applying widely, they often encompass very large groups of individuals. However, the biggest problem with stereotypes is also the thing that makes them very different from other kinds of generalizations. Unlike other kinds of generalizations, stereotypes seem to never have any concrete evidence in them. They are mostly based on hearsay and opinions. And now, that means they're based on insufficient evidence and therefore mostly unjustified. As UNESCO states in their study, any resemblance they have to reality appears to be largely by chance. Now, the reason I tell you all about the study is because it speaks a little bit to me. As I read this study myself, it slowly dawned on me that this thing describes exactly what I did when I was younger. Never once did my stereotyping in these certain groups ever turn out to be true. I suppose, now that I think about it, I only ever recited what my parents ever said. Things that my parents had learned from their parents and their friends when they themselves were young. I really suppose that it's just a never-ending cycle until someone somehow tries to break free. I realize that breaking free is a hard thing. It requires a completely new kind of mindset. It's a human nature to categorize objects, and we use it as a way of making our complex worlds seem just a little bit more simple. I wish the world would rid itself of these stereotypes completely, but unfortunately it's just not that simple. Overcoming stereotypes can only be achieved by acknowledging that we are all human beings and that we do harbor stereotypes. That's a hard thing to acknowledge. I suspect the biggest obstacle keeping us from this is the mainstream media and their usage of stereotypes in order to further cement different classes of citizens. An author will use the nationality of someone or to paint them as a certain kind of person. A Jamaican will be laid back and is likely to enjoy marijuana. An American will often be portrayed as a patriot and a freedom fighter, while a German is likely to be a mad scientist or someone trying to conquer the world. These renditions are a lazy attempt at creating a three-dimensional character, but in reality all they really end up doing is just creating and further enforcing stereotypes. Instead of just judging someone based on where they come from, try going over and talking to them. Try to get a personal experience. You will find out that there is so much more to people than you might first imagine. Instead of just believing what everyone says, I suggest you go into the world, make your own experiences. You will see a world, I find, that is much more beautiful than the shallow pictures and caricatures painted by people who neither see nor know the entire truth. I do not suspect that things will change entirely, but perhaps starting with the little things, maybe someday the world will be a less judging place, maybe even a place where you are you. Not the American, not the German, not the black, the white, nor the Asian. My sincerest hope is that someday this world will turn into a place where you are you, and not where you came from. Thank you.